back.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us in the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. This is Anna Kocon with Little State Flower Company.
Hi.
And these are beautiful, amazing flowers. Thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I love it. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, we'd love to have you back. So last time you were here, it was still like pretty much winter.
I had a sweater on.
So we had like less of a glorious bloom. You just had a few things, and now you brought back much more. And so we're kind of just like hanging out in all your glory. So thanks for coming in. You have like all kinds of cool stuff going on. You've been super busy.
Yes.
And kind of have some exciting news. So wanted to just to fill people in on kind of the mission of Little State Flower Company. You have a commitment to sustainability and community. And you grow high quality blooms for the wedding industry and also for the equipment growers market.
Yeah.
You have a 5-acre farm and you're actually expanding.
Well, we did expand. Now we're at 5 acres.
So tell me just a little bit about where you started and how that expansion was made possible.
Okay. So we started on a 2-acre parcel in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. We lease all of our land, and I was living over in West Kingston, Rhode Island, so I was commuting to the acreage every day, which was about an hour, and a little insane, but that's how I ran the first 2 years of the company, and we were actively looking for more property or to lease, or at least to find somewhere to live closer to the 2 acres, and someone reached out to us. They said they had land, and they wanted us to check it out, and we went to check it out, and it just so happened to be super close to the 2 acres I was already leasing, and it has a house on it that we could lease as well. So now we're leasing 5 acres, all in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Only the 2 parcels are only a little bit, like a few minutes away from each other, and we are also with this. It's an old historic farm on Portsmouth, and we have just totally started to expand already on it. We have one of those acres completely in production with dahlias.
Wow. And they're just absolutely fantastic, gorgeous.
Thank you.
And we're going to get to dahlia season because
It's epic.
it's so cool, so exciting. Talk to me just a little bit about how the expansion was possible, because you've been awarded 2 grants, right?
We have, yes. So we leased the property and we were going for it, and then once we leased the property, when you're leasing farmland anywhere really, you can't build permanent structure on it. That's kind of one of your limitations, but you need to run a proper farm and to have equipment. You have tractors, you have farm tools. I have tons of buckets, and I have a washing station, and you have to have a walk-in cooler, and there's a lot of infrastructure, but you can't build anything, so you have to get kind of crafty. And as you may or may not know, farmers are extremely crafty people. We definitely are super creative and make things work all the time. So we applied for a LASA grant, which is a Local Agriculture and Seafood Act grant, for 2 large sheds and very big sheds, and that is the grant we won this year. And they approved it, and one of the sheds is also approved to be completely transformed into a large walk-in cooler. And those will be right on the property. So now we'll have our walk-in cooler and all of our storage and infrastructure sheds right next to the field. Before, it was all separate. I had to go to the field and farm, pack everything up with the van that I harvested, drive it to my walk-in cooler, la 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 la. It was very complicated. It's a little bit it's gotten that much simpler, but it's simpler in terms of the logistics of things.
Yeah. So talk to me just a little bit about, and we kind of went over this last time you were here, but your mission and with Little State Flower Co. is really to focus on sustainability.
Yeah.
And it might not necessarily be an easy task, but the mission behind it is really important, and fair wages for people.
Yeah.
And so talk to me just a little bit about that and how you really have pushed that forward, because I have a little friend over here. Moving that forward because, and I love it because it's natural, right? Moving forward, the wedding industry is huge here, and so it kind of all ties together, is supporting local farmers, supporting local florists, and building in local blooms. So kind of just how it all kind of ties together, and then moving forward and getting more land.
Well, you can definitely say that the popularity of the local flower farming movement, which is definitely kind of taking the country by storm right now, is directly tied to the local food movement, where a lot of people are seeking out, buy your produce and buy your products in general more local in your town, and from the people who are running businesses in your town, who are paying taxes towards the town that you live in and the state you live in. And so your money is kind of staying local and staying cycled like right in your community. And the mission behind my company is to start a flower farm that gave an option to not only the wedding and event florists, which is a huge industry here in Rhode Island, but also just the local shops and local people in general, because up to this point, the general population's options were either you go to a florist and you pay a florist to do an entire wedding and event for you, or even make an arrangement for you, and you don't know where the flowers come from, or you go to Stop and Shop and buy a bouquet where you also don't know where the flowers came from. And those were your two options. But now with my company, there is another option. You can go to a local flower farm and you can totally source whatever you like. You can get color, you can get white, you can get greens, we grow herbs, we grow all sorts of things, and you can completely buy local flower product for whatever you need to do. And we even do arrangements and events and things like that too, 100% local. And the concept is really to offer this service, to give another option that's just definitely tied to the agricultural industry in the state of Rhode Island, which is a huge history here. And I also we are not certified organic, so I try to not to say I do grow with only organic growing practices. We use no chemicals at all. We use only organically certified chemicals like fish emulsion and horticultural oil, and all those things are super safe for the environment and insects and plants and everything, and animals and me and you and everyone. But we're not certified. I own at least two parcels of land. It's like extremely complicated that are fragments of other farms and So to actually get that certified is like a gigantic. I don't even know where I'd begin.
I mean, I think that's fair to say though. Like at least you're transparent about it,
Yeah. I mean, we are sustainable farming. We definitely, our top priority is soil health and the health of our community. So these products are healthy, they're organic. You could eat them if you wanted to, and you'd be fine. You put it on a cake, you can feel comfortable with that, which is not, you cannot say that for most of the things that get imported into the country. You would never want to eat that or put it on cake, that's for sure.
Put it on you probably don't want to put it on your wedding cake.
Or in a cocktail or anything like that, no.
Oh yeah, we like when Willa comes. We put our flowers in cocktails. Talk to me just a little bit about some of the stuff that you grow, because right now, the dahlias. We're gonna get to that, but yes. I mean, 5 acres of land—that's huge. I mean, that's a lot.
It is.
That's a lot of property. Tell me about some of the stuff you grow, and we'll start with that because that's a lot of space to manage. So I'm sure you have your hands in a lot of things.
Yeah, this year specifically, the one thing I can definitely say about the expansion of land is there are things that you don't think about when you maybe would want to expand your growing project. And one of the biggest topics is mowing and weed whacking. You must be able to get all of that acreage mowed and weed whacked. It's part of the responsibility of being in charge of the land and you're keeping nature, like keeping the wild west from like creeping in on your field. You're constantly pushing it back, pruning trees, all that kind of stuff. That part of it is a huge responsibility. I've married very, very well. I have an extremely helpful husband, and he's wonderful and definitely keeps up with all of that stuff too. So he keeps all the mowing and all the equipment running. Without him, there'd be no company, that's for sure. And we do, when I say we grow organically and sustainably, that means that I do not have all 5 acres in production at once.
I would think that would be really hard to do.
I'd have to have quite a bit of people working for me. Hey, people do it all. I mean, there's people all over the country that do much bigger than that. But I have parcels that are resting. So right now, in the new 3-acre parcels that we're leasing, we are only working 1 right now, and the other 2 are just turned under, and we're going to cover crop them. And the 2 parcels that I was on originally, those are going to get rested next year and completely cover cropped.
Cool. Cool. So as you are moving forward, what are your thoughts on what you'll grow? I see a mix of what we have here. What do we have here? We have some sunflowers.
Definitely, we are in it now. This is like the thick of the flower season now. We're just entering, I would say, really local produce and flowers and all sorts of things that are grown on Rhode Island really crescendo and peak in September. So we're just on that upward climb right now. We really start to hit it in July, then we have August, and in September it's completely like you can still get tomatoes still, then you start to get squash and things like that. And for flowers, you could literally get everything we grow in September. Everything is peaking and everything looks amazing in September. So right now, we're definitely starting into zinnia season. Here are the zinnias.
Oh, they're so pretty.
Super pretty. And I really do make a point to try to find varieties of zinnias that are a little bit more special, a little bit more different, and are not just the ones that you see everywhere at the farmer's market. I typically try to grow ones that have a little more something, a little more creative and a little more oomph, just to make them slightly more special and to really give something else for the florist to work with, rather than just the same generic zinnias over and over and over again.
I love this one. I love these.
This one's called Mizuki.
And I love it even more now. Mizuki.
Mizuki. That's what it's called. I don't know why exactly, but it's a pretty cool zinnia. I love it. It's got great variation. It's kind of like, it's a little rough and tumble. That's why I like it. This one's super popular. It's called the Queen Red Lime.
Yeah, that is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a really good one. It pretty much goes with everything. And then I have lime and white, and then I grow white. There's always a million white flowers because that's like the wedding and event industry needs a million white.
True.
And then we grow these small ones called Oklahoma salmon, and that's just a super good producer. So some of the varieties I grow because they pump out a lot of blooms, and other varieties I grow because they're just really weird. And I like them. I like it weird. And also it's sunflower season. I grow a lot of sunflowers. So sunflowers, they're true, they're classic, everybody loves them, you can't really ever go wrong with sunflower, and we sell all of our sunflowers out every farmer's market. Gone. Like, they're always gone. They just
make you happy, right?
Everybody goes for it. I mean, I love them. I see no problem with them, and I have no judgment against the sunflower. I think that they are super great, and they're big, hearty, gorgeous flowers with a big, happy face. You can't really go wrong.
Do sunflowers come, I'm curious about this, do sunflowers come in different sizes, or is it like the longer that they grow, the bigger they get?
No, it depends on how you grow them, too. Okay. So I tend to pack my sunflowers in when I'm transplanting them or sowing them pretty tight. We usually do about 6-inch spacing in the field, and that helps with a smaller head. I actually don't really have much use for a giant sunflower head. My florists have zero use for that. No. And I can't, they're very hard to move around in your truck. They get bumped real easy. There's a lot of like logistical things with that just doesn't really, doesn't make it that easy. This is probably the biggest I go. And I grow kind of a few series of sunflowers that are just great producers. And that's just for straight up, I'm a production flower farm. I just want them to produce and give me lots of flowers.
Yeah.
And some of the varieties, like this little guy, is called Starburst Lemon Aura. And it blooms small. And some of the varieties are branching, so they'll have multi-branches going, and you can have little tiny sunflower heads that are like this, little tiny guys like this, and some of them just come up once, and it's like a big, strong head like this, and that's like then you're going to get one flower out of it. One. So I kind of grow a mix of both those kinds.
That's so cool. I love that. So these ones, is that the one you just pulled up?
No, that's not the one I just pulled up, but it is super cute. This one's called Pro Cup Peach.
I've never seen one like that.
It's a little bit warm. It's like a not quite a yellow, not quite a gold. It's like a little bit of like a peachy, pinky, warm yellow. It's gorgeous. Everybody loves it. It's a great one. So I try to grow ones that are just, again, slightly off what you exactly expect a sunflower to be.
Well, yeah, and then you can put these, I mean, that just really pops your eye out that you might have never seen something like that before. Okay, and then we're getting into
the crown jewels.
Oh, dahlias. So I wanted these so badly for my wedding, which was 2 years ago, and we couldn't get them. We couldn't have them, couldn't find them, and so I just got over it. But you have them.
I have them right here.
You have them now. I wanted like one of those, like a huge friggin' honking one. I just wanted one big one, but we couldn't get them because we couldn't find anything. And I didn't want to just get them from like nowhere,
wherever.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you have them. You're growing them.
It's just starting up. So, dahlia season is definitely the crescendo of specialty cut flower farmers season. They start producing now, bit by bit. They're not in full production right now, so I don't have any real. We're growing 4,000 plants this year, and I know I'm even like, oh my gosh. So I grew 1,500 plants last year, so that can tell you how much I decided to go for it hard this year. They are by far the most popular flower we grow. All the flower farmers grow lots of dahlias because they don't transport very well, meaning they do sell them up in Boston at the wholesaler and things like that, but the problem is they don't like to go in and out of humidity, be bumped, be pushed together, wrapped in plastic. They just their petals get damaged. So the nice thing about buying them from local growers who are production growing them is you can get a whole lot of them. We pick them right out of the field to order. So if somebody orders 500 peach stems, I literally pick 500 peach stems for them like a day or two before they pick up. And that is right in the buckets. They don't get touched again, and then they pick them up. So it's like the highest quality, super fresh, organically grown, sustainably grown, and they're just, I mean, you can't beat it. They're so fresh, and so they're like juicy. They're full of liquid, full of water. They're really vibrant, and they're literally they just have endless amounts of varieties and colors, and they're really exciting. And for a creative point of view, like from a creative standpoint, it's amazing for the florist. They just have endless options to work with, and that's what we do. We're creating product for florists to be creative with. So
when about is the peak for these? You mentioned
they peak in, I usually, in my mind, I say they peak in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is kind of everything you just mentioned.
Yeah, but Dahlia's is like hardcore. They go off, and we are swimming in them. And last year, I sold every single stem I grew.
Oh, that's amazing.
Every single stem. I didn't have any leftovers ever. I never threw one in the compost, never. And not even a single one ever. Everything went to somewhere. So, and that's,
look at this one.
Oh,
Look at this
the dark
like,
ones.
oh my goodness.
Dark and moody.
Oh, that color. Just all these colors. It's just hard to, oh my goodness. Do you grow the kind that just get huge?
I do, yeah. They're definitely the #1 most popular dahlia in the country, maybe in the
everybody's
world.
Brain, because we're all just obsessed.
It's called Cafe LA. I don't have it here because it's not producing yet. Believe me, I would have brought one because it's luxury.
It's a luxury at its finest.
It's a big dahlia. Those are called dinner plate style, and the one that's the most popular by far, the most requests by anything else, is Cafe LA Dahlia, and they're kind of blushy, mauve-y, soft, champagne-y, creamy. That's the best way I can describe them.
That's an excellent description.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's super romantic, and usually go with, every bride wants one. So. And they are very hard to get fresh. So that's why we grow lots from this year. We put 600 plants in just of Cafe LA.
Wow.
So yeah, it's in high demand.
I mean, look at the color of this. That's just
Sweeter.
incredible. Talk to me just, as we kind of wind things down here, talk to me about some of the challenges of being a farmer in Rhode Island. We are looking at, we have 4 seasons and they're changing, right?
Yeah.
But talk to me just about some of the challenges. Obviously, it's great for you that you have expanded and you're moving forward, but and you are sustainable and you work with organic products. But it can be difficult, I would think, as you have to deal with certain changes in the weather and different products. But you obviously have made a lot of progress when it comes to growing beautiful flowers, and you went from 1,500 dahlias to 4,000, so you're obviously doing pretty well. But what is it like, as a farmer in a community that does really support local growing products?
Well, I think I can probably I know I can speak for almost every farmer in at least Rhode Island, that this was possibly the worst spring. I've been farming now for 12 years, and this possibly could be the worst spring of my entire farming career.
Wow.
I don't like to be negative. It's over now, but it was torture. It was cold and rainy when it wasn't supposed to be cold, 40 degrees at night when it was supposed to be 55, and it was wet.
Yeah.
And it was a really long, cold spring, and that's tough. That was really tough. Things weren't growing, and when things stay small in the field for a long period of time, the weed pressure becomes much more intense because, when they grow fast and nice, they beat out the weeds. So everybody's having a lot of weed pressure this year, and that's kind of a big, it's weeding. It's what we do. It's like 50% of farming is weeding. So that's not a mathematical thing, but it's definitely a big part of it. And I would say that the best thing that I can say about trying to keep the company moving forward and really moving this product when I have it is diversifying my market. Now I definitely sell wholesale to the wedding and event and even florist shops and things like that, and flower shops, and definitely a lot to them. But I also have farmers market that's very successful for me. I sell tons of product at my farmers market. We do event work, a lot of wedding and event work, not so much wedding, but more event work in Newport. people, like parties down there and fundraisers and all sorts of stuff down there all the time. They love supporting island businesses, and that's been a really big bonus for us. So they've definitely been calling us and asking us to do all 100% local flowers for their event stuff. So flowers go there. I sell a ton of DIY wedding buckets, so that's for people who maybe are on a budget or would like to do their own flowers for their weddings. And I book a ton of those. I'm booked every week, all summer on those things. They're great. People buy 3, 4, 10 of them, and they do all the flowers for themselves.
That's cool.
I was actually thinking that we could do one time on here together.
I would love it.
That'd be so fun. Break one down. It'd be like cool to like teach people how to do it.
I would love that. I think we should. I think we totally should.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
I would love that. And I think it's so important. I think there's really that spirit and aspect in this community that has grown in Rhode Island all over about really supporting local businesses. So it's cool. And it's always interesting to hear just about businesses, about communities, about farmers that are making it, and then about, you know, kind of the backstory about kind of the struggles that people are facing as well. So not necessarily struggles, but, you know, but
it was a struggle this spring, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, just about getting some insight and kind of where we go from here. So, Anna, it's been so great to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And thank you for brightening everyone's day with this. So beautiful. I love hearing about it, love hearing about the stories, and congratulations on continuing to move forward with the business.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.